Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Let's talk about the berry pickers. He's never going to have his cycle. He's never going to extend. And I like this book. I really love that book, but I'm interested to see. I don't say they drug for the family, but they were very fancy. But I will read this book, give it a chance and see. Kindle, I downloaded Verity. So I have the first 3 books of those, which I do plan to read soon. I read this book last night, and I am still stewing in it. This book, it was a national bestseller, winner of the Andrew Medal for Excellence in Fiction. I don't know what that means, but this was a winner of the Barnes & Noble Discovery Prize. Named the best book of the year by Amazon, Apple, People, Barnes & Noble, The New Yorker, and more. It was considered like an excellent fiction. While I found this book, it was very easy to read, although it was historical fiction was the genre. It was based in 1962. It was centered around Indigenous people. It was a family of Indigenous people that worked on a berry farm in Nova Scotia. Well, like the corner of Nova Scotia, Maine, that area. And the family, they had a map in this book. Y'all know we love a good map in a book. Let me see. So here is the map, and it kind of showed where they were, like in this area on the border of Canada and Maine. So it was, it took me 5 days to read this book. Some of the chapters were fairly long, but they were interesting and intriguing. I read the paperback version of it. No one recommended this to me. I did see it as a prompt a few months ago on Goodreads, and it was like to get a bookmark or something in the Goodreads app. You read The Berry Picker, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. It sounds like something that I would want to read. So that's when I decided to read this. So I also pulled it out of my TBR jar, or I don't know if I pulled it on the board where it says pick a book with a blue cover. So it just kept on being picked. So The Berry Pickers was the book that I read. I read it in 5 days. It took me, I was reading about 40 pages per hour. Because when you go on book memory, it tells you how long it takes you to read. So that's pretty average. I normally read 30 pages per hour, but since this one was easier to read for me, it took me 40 pages per hour. I would read this book again. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't read it again. It was in 1962, but it wasn't like a dark 1962. Like they had some traumatizing parts in this book. I'm not going to give that away, but would I recommend this to someone? Yes. Someone who's interested in Indigenous people's lives. And if you need the author, she's actually this nationality, or this is in her bloodline, is what I'm gonna say. So that is in her bloodline. The theme, it had a lot of family drama. Y'all know I love family drama. Yes, I do like a good messy book. And it had family issues. Heavily religious mothers. Both of the mothers were very religious in this book. It was not centered, but a side story in it. It was a missing child. And also it play with your emotions too. On that missing child, a new family, new identity, and self-identity, like how you identify yourself. So that was very intriguing. Also, the emotions and thoughts that came to me and resonated with me was there was a lot of not heavy, but it mentioned a lot of colorism. It's not just within like the Black community, but indigenous people or the, you know, Hispanic community or like Dominican Republics, they have colorism in all these different rims, and you don't realize it. It's not just like, okay, you're dark or you're light, but people are prejudiced when they see you, and if you are darker, they're gonna sometimes they already identify you for who you are before getting to know you. And the girl, she knew, she kind of put two and two together, but she was just like, I'm darker than my family, like what is going on, whatever. But they spoke on topics about adult children not going to church anymore and their reasons behind it, and the mom still like being very prayerful, and the husband not wanting to go to church with the mother. So that was very realistic to me. There was a part in this where it talked about miscarriages and the feelings of losing a child and being married with your partner, and that person grieving that child too. So both of y'all are experiencing grief differently. The mom or the mothers, two moms, whatever, they are carrying the baby, and then something happens, you feel like it's like a ghost of a child because it passed and it's always lingering. And some people deal with it differently when they have a miscarriage, or they go a term and the baby dies, or if they go a term, the baby lives and the baby get kidnapped, or the child grows up and starts a life on its own and cut the family off and never come back to talk to you again. So it was like the parents holding on to the hope of like their child loss. So that was interesting. The opinion about the writer style, I enjoyed it because, again, I like to read when it's personal. And that means to me personal as if I'm writing a story from my personal storytelling. Like, I can't tell a story of, say, example, I can't tell a story of a Spanish person being deported and traveling along these different ways with coyotes and things that I learned about, because I never really lived that. I never really lived that story. So it doesn't come off as genuine. So this one, I feel like it came off very genuine just because of her bloodline. Her version of the story, although it was fiction, it read like it was nonfiction, but in an interesting way. Like it was just like based on a true story. And you follow the journey of these kids when they were little, and then they grow up to adulthood, and you see them age, you see the mental space of each one of the kids, how they dealt with a missing sibling, or how the type of parent they would become or they want to become, and how they have their relationships with their adult brother and sisterhood. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can kind of relate to that when you are an adult and you have a grown brother and he acting out. Yeah, it really resonated with me with that. And also when people choose a lifestyle of being homeless, and you look at these people and they're dirty and dingy, and you're like, do they have family, or why did they choose this? You know, and they have their own reasons. It had some things to do with, like, it was very mental how she wrote each character out. And I would say someone that wasn't invested or that didn't have empathy would get bored with this book. So I would recommend it to not so much a man or a male, maybe, but you gotta like be in touch with your like feelings and stuff to read this type of book. And I'm kind of dry, like I'm blunt and dry, but I did connect. I'm not a crier. Some people, they did cry off of this book, but I'm not gonna cry off of a book. I'm a crier in real life, but not so much with fiction. And it just did not make me tear up like some people did with this. Yeah, this author, she is an indigenous person, and the tribe that she's from is called the Mi'kmaq. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's Mikigq. I think that's the name of them. I don't know the name of it, but it was this family, and these were like the first Native Americans of North Atlantic region, like on the side of Canada and Maine. They were recognized as like the first people in Nova Scotia. That's what I learned from this book. Because sometimes these stories get lost. And I'm glad that as a historical fiction person, she captured the story, you know, because I would have never known or even thought about that area, even as like the people that live there. I'm like, whoa, that is so interesting. So her reading style, I would say a 5 out of 5. Relatability, 5 out of 5. Originality, 4 out of 5, because I've just finished a story about a kid going missing, and that story always who done it and where is it? Is the kid still alive, or what type of family they with now, or did they grow up? Did they die? Did they get sick? Did they know that we wanted them? Did they not know that we want them? Like all those different questions and stuff. That wasn't original, but it was a strong suit or strong points to write about with the missing person in this historical fiction. Readability, 5 out of 5. Yes. Personal impact, 5 out of 5. The plot, 4 out of 5. Because I was like, I wish the mom had made better choices. I'll just leave it at that. I wish the mother, I ain't gonna say mother, I'm gonna say mammy or mom, because she was not the best mom to her daughter. And I'm saying daughter because she, every time things got hard or difficult, people do this in real life. She basically would fake a headache. Like when she didn't want to talk about something, this is a spoiler, she would just like, oh, the daughter will bring up something that's serious. She's like, oh, my head hurt, I need to go lay down. Oh, I'm getting a strong headache. Oh, my head. She always like had that headache when it was time to talk about something or the questions got hard. And I'm like, okay, I do know people who do that in real life. Like if they're overwhelmed or they got too much going on, they'll cancel plans, or they'll say I'm sick, or my stomach hurt, or I'm not doing that. And they always use an ailment, like some type of illness, to get out of it. So I felt the mother was doing that a lot. Like she was playing crazy, like, oh, my head hurt. And I had so my biggest outtake was the colorism in a different race. Like that was just, whoa, yeah. Not just us. We don't just get that. Everybody get that. But these characters, some of them read, like, you know, they can read and write, and they found joy in reading in their spare times and rereading a book. One character, he reread like only a couple books over time. I'm like, I'm not a rereader. I don't reread books, but some people do, and that's their comfort. You know, they like to do their comfort reads. Just like you have a comfort show. Like I can rewatch my shows that I want to watch over and over again. Like I seen Norbit a million times. Like I just watch. That's like my comfort. I can do it with movies and shows, but with books, I don't know why I haven't gotten to the point where I want to reread a book. The only book that I reread was like Verity, because I was like, what the heck? And that's the book that got me back into reading. So I was just like, okay, let me reread this. And I read it like a couple times, and I bought the special edition. But for the most part, I'm not a rereader, but I am a rewatcher. I can watch the movie again because it's mindless when you rewatch, and it's like comforting. So I can relate to that. Someone that wanted to rewatch or reread in that sense. They had a bunch of what the movie, like moments, like what the heck? Okay, this is strange, or this is weird. What? Like, okay, that was weird. So they had a bunch of those moments. The mom, I say one of the moms, she was very, very selfish, and that was like not the best character trait. She was just selfish throughout the whole thing up until the day that she died. Like she was just a selfish little lady. The quote that I liked the most, well, that stood out to me, I would say it was one quote. It says, "Prejudice runs deep, and offers no apologies in small towns. And that's true. Prejudice does run deep. It offers no apologies in small towns. And I felt that. Like, coming from a small town, there's a lot of people that are prejudiced in this area, being in the South, and they don't apologize for it. Like, they don't. Like, some people get a, like, okay, you the token person or you get a pass, but they don't apologize about being prejudiced. So I have experienced a little bit of that, and I was like, okay, I can see an Indigenous person experiencing that with their race and their brutality and their walks of life. And you want to live a life where you still can forgive people too, because some people, they may not know, or they may not have that, like, understanding. And that was pretty cool. I mean, this book, I would rate this book like a, 4 out of 5, 4.5. It was pretty high. I mean, it was one of the higher reads that I read this time. And what I liked, it was the simplicity of this book, but not dumbed down. Like, you still felt like you was learning something from it. What wasn't my cup of tea was, I guess, it was a conflict resolution, but a lot of the people in the end did not get what was due to them. Like, like, I wanted them to sock it to the protagonist, or I wanted the sock it to them and give them that, but it just fizzled. Like, the characters just fizzled out. So it was like a soft goodbye. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was that. And I told you my favorite quote. It was about the prejudice in the small towns. No apologies. The overall rating, I say 4.5. This is pretty high. I like, the only thing that I wouldn't like, it started to get kind of like winded at the end, and I'm like, okay, it was pretty good, and I wanted to read it at night. Like, I wanted to stay up and finish reading this. The spice level, it had 0 spice. I say like a 1 or a 0.5 out of 5, like a 1 out of 5. Would I recommend this? Yes. So that is the Berry Picker. Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters, July 1962, following in the tradition of Indigenous workers from Nova Scotia. The Meckman family arrives in Maine to pick berries for the summer. Weeks later, 4-year-old Ruthie, the family's youngest daughter, vanishes. She's last seen by her 6-year-old brother, Joe, sitting on her favorite rock at the edge of Berryfield. Joe will remain distraught by his sister's disappearance for years to come. In Maine, a young girl named Norma grows up as the only child of the affluent family. Father is emotionally distant. Her mom frustratingly overprotective. Norma is often troubled by reoccurring dreams and visions that seems more like memories than imagination. As she grows older, Norma slowly comes to realize there is something her parents aren't telling her about her. Unwilling to abandon her intuition, she spends decades trying to uncover this family secret. An unforgettable of grief, love, and kin, the Boston Globe. This show-stopping debut by a vibrant new voice in fiction is riveting novel about the search for truth, the shadows of trauma, and the persistence of love across time. Amanda, she's a writer of the settlers' ancestry. She lives in Nova Scotia and teaches in the Department of English and Theater at Acadia University. So I would check this out if you're interested in a different kind of, historical fiction about Indigenous people, an Indigenous family. And I liked it. I really did. I truly enjoyed it.